Nylos and Hard Mode ToB tend to be the biggest brick wall players meet. Nylo mechanics for Hard Mode are updated with the following. Attacking with the wrong style recoils damage, including Scythe, Barrages, and Chins. Nylo Princes spawn every 10 waves. Nylo King's magic damage increases the farther away you are from other players. Nylo King's ranged attack fires in a cone and increases the damage for the more players it hits, and Nylo's King max hit is increased. Nylo King changes form every 9 ticks instead of 8. Nylo Wave strategy. Nylo Wave prioritization is as follows. Aggros before they start attacking. Smalls on the pillars and then bigs on the pillars. Clear the waves as usual. They're in the same order as normal ToB and the aggros are the exact same as well. Here's the difference and the wrench. Every 10th wave, the Nylo Prince will appear. For the first Prince, ranged DPS needs to chin the triple Nylo waves. Everyone else should Scythe Chally or Claw Scythe the Nylo Prince. Make sure that your Piety is on. As long as 3 out of 4 players does the Scythe Chally or Claw Scythe, then the Nylo Prince should die immediately. If it doesn't, finish it off when it's melee or ranged. Ideally, one of the melees finishes off the Prince if it's still alive. If the Ranger decides to attack the first Nylo Prince instead of the triple range wave, then the Ranger will be playing catch up for the rest of the Nylo waves, causing unnecessary damage to the already weakened pillars. Again, remember to focus aggros, smalls attacking the pillars, and then bigs attacking the pillars. The crabs that are walking across the room or into the room that are not aggros, those aren't damaging your pillars yet, so you need to save that HP. The next Prince spawns at wave 20. For those of us not on cheat client, if you are a normal player looking south, the mage, the triple big mage wave, followed by the range aggro on the right, followed by the mage aggro on the left. After that mage aggro on the left, that is when your Prince spawns. For the second Prince, everyone should be Scythe Challying this Prince. Again, you need to have Piety on. Right after the melee aggros is whenever the third Prince spawns. This one you will ignore. You need to pray against it, but you ignore this one until you clear the waves. At this point, everyone should be focusing the low pillars. After every Nylo on the towers are killed, you can start killing the Nylo Prince. This is the last one before the Nylo King. Before moving on to the Nylo King strategy, let's cover some reasons why you guys fail the Nylo waves. Reason number 1, too much time out of combat. In hard mode, the pillars have less HP, and therefore everyone needs to pick up any slack that might be there. This includes the North Major camping ancestral bottoms with a swift blade, and maging whenever they're not close to any crabs. This also includes helping freeze the South double mages after the first Prince, as well as attempting to get a hit on the aggro on that same wave as well. The person maging should be one of the best magers in the group, and the Ranger needs to be extremely good at range. They need to understand how ticks work and to maximize the blowpipe's effectiveness. The blowpipe is a 2-tick weapon, and therefore they need to use it as a 2-tick weapon, not a 3 or 4-tick. Reason number 2 is the Princes stay alive for too long. Realistically, the Princes should be dead within 3 of their color changing cycles. If they're alive longer than this, then the team is fucking up too hard. Make sure you're super combat potted and you have Piety on whenever you attack it with melee. The goal is for it to pop during that first rotation. Reason number 3, everyone dies at the end. If you're a part of teams that keep dying at the end of Nylos, it usually means that a combination of the previous woes are present. The North Major isn't helping kill the aggros at the end. The players are not protecting correctly against the Prince, and they're not focusing the low pillars, or focusing the crabs on the pillars during the early stages of the waves. I will say, as a caveat, every once in a while your team will get bad RNG with hits and it will be difficult to clear. Please keep in mind this is not the case about 95% of the time. If you continue to struggle making it to the Nylo King and die on the waves, then I highly suggest turning on the tick counter plugin in RuneLite. This will help keep track of how long you and your teammates are in combat. Generally, if you are failing the Nylo waves, then you are not in combat long enough and you will be at the bottom. Alright, finally the Nylo King. His defense level is 50, and you use 1 BGS to reduce his defense. So, melee DPS, this is you again. but the priorities here have changed. Everyone should have a defined spot. This is usually done after the Nylo prince has died and before the king spawns. Ranged DPS is always the anchor, so wherever the ranged DPS is standing, that's where people are meeting for the Nylo King's mage phase. Everyone else is going to call north, east, or west, and this is the spot that they will go to during Nylo King's ranged phase. So instead of pre-switching, you're going to be pre-moving. So as soon as you do your 2 attacks on the Nylo King, you're going to pre-move like he's going to do a ranged attack. If you see that it's blue, you're going to click on the death dot tile on the ranged DPS and switch your prayer as you are moving. The reason why you assume that it's going to be range every time is 1, it's better DPS than mage, and 2, for how the damage is actually calculated. For the range phase, it essentially says, I'm attacking this person, and is there anyone within 3 tiles of this person? If so, then it's going to calculate based off of that many players and hit the targeted person for the most, and everyone else will get hit proportionally as well. Whereas with the mage phase, the longer the ball travels, the more damage it deals, so it's based off of impact, not when the attack is fired out like ranged. Because your teammate's movement directly affects how much damage you take, play it safe. Keep a minimum of 40 HP, but I do recommend 50 to 60. I recommend conducting 1 to 2-way switches during the entirety just for basic DPS purposes, but keep in mind that moving in prayer will keep you alive, and therefore your 1 hit is going to do more DPS than you being dead and dealing no hits. Or, killing your entire team, which does happen.